I'm RenéMarie. This is going to be a phenomenal show. Everybody knows that I have great faith and that that God takes care of us. And the way this show just naturally evolved was just perfect. It's perfect. And it is a prime example that that God takes care of us and that he works for us and that not he works for us, but that he takes care of us. So this show has a very dear friend, Rosanna. She has been a family friend. She grew up, she lived behind my aunt Sissy's house. and my cousin Sandra's house. They lived in the two family for many, many years, and she was just been in my life forever. And I'm very blessed to have her in my life. We have a prayer circle every Sunday night, and Rosanna goes to church, and she kind of met the sister. This person that looked like a sister was sitting next to her. And I'll let them tell the rest of the story. I'll let Rosanna start telling the rest of the story as we evolve. But then we have a wonderful visiting angels guest, Linda, who is a part of the Senior Resource Group of New Jersey, Diane Bromberg. She does phenomenal work, as everybody knows. She really is a valid, intricate part of our foundational organization. And of course, I want to thank Ginny for all the hard work that she does to book all these shows. Ginny's going to be on our a show in April, I believe, because we're having one of our old committee members come back. So that's a whole different project, but it's a wonderful thing. We're really moving forward with our organization, and we have really wonderful, exciting things happening. So Linda, if you can, I don't know if you can open your screen in your video. I saw your sound was on, but while we're waiting for Linda from Visiting Angels to share a little bit about herself, I'm going to I want to welcome everybody. Welcome Rosanna, welcome Sister Catherine. Sister Catherine is an angel, like Linda's location. You know, she just, the way she tells stories. That's, I think, the best thing about Sister Catherine is the way she tells stories, and you really understand what her thought process, and she gets you to think. So I really am so honored. And Sister Catherine suffered a stroke, TIA, and a stroke, and that just tells us that strokes don't discriminate. They don't discriminate. So we're gonna start the show by Rosanna sharing how she met Sister Catherine, and then we'll let everybody feed in. But Rosanna, take it away, my dear friend.
Hi, Renee. Thank you for having me on the show. And I have to say, I've known Renee since she was a young girl, and she's a blessing in my life. If I need some kind of spiritual guidance, and I can always go to Renee. For anything else too, I can always go to Renee. She's always ready. She always picks up the phone, or she'll call you right back if she's not available. So that's really precious in a friend, because not everybody does that. Everybody puts themselves first, but Renee seems to put everybody else first. And once in a while, I have to remind her, though, put yourself first. It's good for you. But thank you again for having me on the show.
Oh my God, we're blessed. We're blessed.
I was visiting my son. He's in Old Japan, and it was 3:30 in the afternoon. He says, "Mom, they have a 4 o'clock mass." He's new to the area. They have a 4 o'clock mass. Would you like to go? So I said, "Okay, yeah, we'll go to 4. That'll be nice. Then I won't have to go to 5:30 by me or the next day." I said, "Yeah, that'll be fine." So we went, and it's a beautiful little church. It's not really very big because the community is not big, but and it's round. So you sit in the round. Around the altar. So we went to the left, and we're sitting. And then just before mass started, this woman came in and sat next to me. I don't know if there was anybody on the other side, Sister Catherine. I don't think so. It was just her in a navy blue, very pretty, very tailored, very nice blue jacket and skirt. And so I looked at her, and subconsciously, now that I think back, subconsciously, I thought to myself, she's a nun. But, then I disregarded it, and we went through the mass. When it came to the sign of peace, you just extend your hand up, because people really, since COVID, they don't want to touch. So you put your hand up. So I kissed my son, I turned, and Sister Catherine grabbed both my hands. She extended and grabbed both my hands, and I thought to myself, she's a nun. I know that for sure now. I know. And that we exchanged. And then right after the mass, the priest that had celebrated the mass announced Sister Catherine to go up, asked her to go up and speak. And she offered assistance to the community. She says she comes from Newburgh, but she's not part of the community, but now she's made that church almost hers. She's adopted it. And that if somebody wanted some spiritual guidance or some help, nowadays it is very tough out there, which it is, that she would give, like an hour every so often of meditation or of discussion, just some spiritual guidance. So I thought, oh, I said to Vic, that's wonderful. So she finished her speech. We all clapped. Then she sat next to me again, and they ended. And I turned and I said to her, "Oh, that's wonderful." I said, "What kind of nun are you?" She said, "I'm a Dominican." I said, "Oh, I was taught by Dominicans for 12 years. I love Dominicans. I have a soft spot for them. I love all religious people, or religion, anyone that's in the religious order." My uncle was a Franciscan priest, so I cherish that. So she goes, I said, I don't belong to this parish. It's a shame because I would have loved to have taken that class. She goes, you don't have to. I could do Zoom. I can do it anywhere. It doesn't matter. I said, okay. She goes, there's a table outside if you want to sign up. I said, fine. Thank you very much. Then the priest came over, started to talk to Sister Catherine. So I said goodbye and left with my son. Outside, because I'm a little ditzy, I'm looking for the table, but I passed it up. And as I'm walking, I thought, well, I guess I didn't see it. I'm walking towards the exit and I feel a little tap on my shoulder, and it's Sister Catherine. She goes, the table's over there. I had to laugh, and I thought, okay, that's divine guidance now, because she didn't have to sit next to me. We didn't have to discuss anything. And now she's telling me where to go, which means I have to be in that spot. So I went there and I signed up. And I said to her, I have friends in a prayer group. I said, would you be able to do it with Oh, she says, that would be wonderful. So I signed up, and then I told the girls, and they all went for it immediately. They thought that was a very good idea. And then from there on, it was just, it flowed very easily. And when something's supposed to happen, that's what happens. It flows. There are no hiccups. Everything goes smoothly. And all of a sudden because when you think everything in the world is invented or thought of twice. First you think of it, and then it becomes reality. So everything is thought of twice. So we thought of it, and then it became reality. And we're having wonderful sessions once a month with Sister.
Yeah, yeah. And they're so, the world is so crazy out there.
Yeah.
It is, that it's nice to come to a place where you trust everybody and everybody's just, on the same wavelength, and really looking to learn and looking for encouragement and growth. And it's wonderful. Thank you, Sister Catherine, for being in our lives and for connecting with Rosanna. Sister Catherine, before we get into your stroke and everything like that, tell us a little bit about how you got into the order, and tell us a little bit about your story.
Well, I just have to make one correction, Rosanna. I'm a Spark Hill Dominican, not a Newburgh Dominican.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're Spartan, right? From
Spark Hill, New York.
Spark Hill. I always get confused because my teachers were from Newburgh, so
Yes,
I apologize.
right. Dominicans all, though.
Yes, yes.
I have no problem with it. I like the sisters from Newburgh too. How did I get into the community? Well, I didn't enter the community until I had graduated from college and had taught for a year. And so this was in the late 1960s, and things were just evolving from Vatican II. They were just beginning. And so I experienced the novitiate in the traditional way. And then shortly afterwards, things, as I say, started to evolve and change. And that fit me just perfectly. So I've been doing this I've been in here, I've been part of it for about 58 years. So I think I made the right choice, because I was dating a fellow, but I thought, I've got to find out what religious life is all about. So I said, okay, ta-ta to him. And I hope and pray he's happily married somewhere. And I took the adventure with the Dominican Sisters of Spark Hill. So that was the initial start of everything. I have been many things. I have done many works because we're not limited in what we do. We're able to find our own ministries. So through the years, I have done many different things. trying to think. That's about enough, I guess, for now. We'll see what everybody wants to know later.
That's perfect timing, Sister Catherine, because Linda just hopped back on.
Hi,
We
Linda.
had some
Welcome back.
technical problems, but Linda is really an important part of Diane Bromberg's Senior Resource Group, and she does wonderful work. So, Linda, I'm going to let you, I know you've been on our show before, but give us a little bit about, how you got into your career and what you guys do, and then we'll get into chatting a little bit more. So, go ahead, Linda. Thank you for joining us today.
Sorry about all that.
Oh, that's okay. We're live. We're live. So
Yep. Anything can happen, right?
yes.
So I work for Visiting Angels. We're a home care agency. So we help older adults, with their daily activities, help them to manage and do the things they love to do when things become a little bit more difficult and challenging for them. The way that I came to this position was my parents, started to need help. My dad mostly at first. And I saw that my mom wasn't handling things and everything was new for me. I didn't know where to turn, what to do to, get the help we needed. So that journey of learning what resources are out there and how I can best, provide the help that my family needed brought me to finding this job with Visiting Angels. I was looking for a job in marketing. I wanted to market something I could get behind and really believe in. And, this was it. I feel like God led me to it. I could now help other people with the journey that, I had been on to get the help I needed. And I enjoy doing that. I enjoy helping other people, and connecting with other people in the industry so that not only can I help them with what we provide, home care, but I can help them with all the other resources that are out there, all the other businesses that can assist them as well. So it's been, really a rewarding journey, and I enjoy what I do.
Yeah, I have found doing this, I've been doing this for 10 or 11 years. I can't believe how time has flown. But I have found that most people that are in the healthcare industry have gotten there by a family experience, something that they've experienced that pushes them to make a difference in their lives, and or a personal experience. I mean, I'm here because I suffered a stroke, and so it's really important. It's very valuable to have passion and to understand and have compassion for people when you're doing your work. You're all not just doing your work because because I don't want to say the money, but to support yourselves, but you're doing it because you really want to help people. You really want to help people. So life is a journey. Life is wonderful. So thank you for joining us today, Linda. I really want to hear more about what, who you've helped, and just some experience, some examples of people that you yourself have helped. Rosanna, I want to ask you, like, what do you do? I mean, I know, but share a little bit about your back history, so everybody can understand where you come from. And Rosanna is the same way. I can call Rosanna anytime, and she would be there in 2 seconds flat. So thank you so much for Rosanna being in my life. I'm blessed.
Funny story. I spoke French in high school because it was very easy for me. And I scored very high in the SAT. So my teacher said, you should go to Montclair State. That's the best college. And I went in with a major of French when I applied. And that's not the way to go, because then you need high scores and everything. And I was middle of the road. I was good in algebra. I surpassed everything in algebra and French, but everything else I was middle. So they said I was not accepted in their French program, but I was accepted as a 4-year, regular undergraduate. I didn't understand the letter, and my parents did not read it. They could not read. So I thought that I was rejected. So I never went to Montclair State. So what I did was I went to New York City, and I went to Latin American Institute for Interpreting and Translating. And I took a little bit of Italian just to brush up because I speak it at home. And then I took French as correspondence. And then I worked for an international company, which was wonderful in the city.
Wow.
And then I got married, had children, so that had to stop. You could not go into the city in those days. This is many years ago, and have a family at home. It was like a 12-hour day. So I stopped and I got local jobs if I needed to in the office. And I went with one company, Jago, and I'm still with them. It's 44 years now. So from administrative, I've been all the way, I've moved up to, I sell some of their machines. I do a lot of, inside work for them, and they're very, very nice. At my age, they would, a larger company would have retired me, as most of them do, but they're very kind. I still work 3 days a week. They gave me preferred hours. But since I am divorced and I did have a family to support, I've also picked up real estate. I've done real estate for about 27 years, and Renee's whole family, they all are my clients, thank God. And I really enjoy that. Logistically, sometimes it could be a bit of a nightmare, because of all the traveling, but I do enjoy that. And there's no cap on age on that. You can do it until you're 100. They don't care. As long as you do a good job and you're honest and you think for your clients first.
Yeah. Well, that's what I
and-
was going to say, Rosanna, because that's why we all, you have to build your circle around you. We say this all the time, and I know Linda knows this as well. You got to build your circle around you to support you in life. Whether it's visiting angels, or whether it's a hospital, or whether it's a doctor, or whether it's an accountant. You have to have that tool belt of angels around you to support you. And Rosanna is one of the ones that we just trust to take care of something that's personal. Your homes are personal. Your home, your homes, your rentals, they're personal, and you want to confide in that person. So, and Rosanna will tell you straight up and down, like, that's not going to work. It's not a good house. My daughter was looking for a house, and it was during COVID, and she just wanted one. And every time they put an offer on one, it would get outbid by $100,000 cash, because people just wanted to move out of the city to our area. And, so she looked at this one. It was like a box, right, Rosanna? And she put one, the Rosanna's like, no, if it, like, she's trying to be very.
Oh my God, it had everything against it. You name it, it had everything against it. I said, you can't buy this house, really. No, but the sphere of influence is very important in any industry. You need to make sure that, excuse me, and I don't advertise because I do have a full-time job and I don't want to take away from that. So I go by references or word of mouth, which is much easier for me, because that way nobody wastes your time, because people can, because you don't have to have allegiance to anybody. So, but I've been very fortunate. Renee's family has given me many leads and many references in the past. So I'm very fortunate. Yeah. And I'm very upfront. I'll tell you exactly what's wrong with the house before you buy it.
Well, thank you, Rosanna. So Sister Catherine, let's get into Sister Catherine's, her stroke. I like to call it a stroke experience, because strokes do not determine who we are. They're just an experience that you have, like a heart attack, like diabetes, or whatever. I don't like to attach to it. So Sister Catherine, tell us your story about your TIA and then your stroke.
I looked up the numbers, the dates, so I could get it straight. I had a TIA in 2005, in there somewhere. I was in Michigan, in Ann Arbor, Michigan, as a director of religious education at St. Mary's Student Parish. And one Saturday morning, it turned out, I woke up and all of a sudden my one side wasn't working quite right, but I had studied enough about strokes and what they can do to kind of, I don't know what I was thinking, but I decided, well, can I walk down the hall? Can I go to my office and can I type? I played games all day long, just seeing how things were going, kind of knowing or feeling or hoping this was a TIA. And it lasted into the evening. I was brand new at Ann Arbor. I didn't have a doctor yet, so I didn't want to go to the hospital. Oh, real good thinking, deep thinking here. And so I didn't go to the hospital. But the following Tuesday, I did have an appointment with a new doctor. It turns out my blood pressure was 200 over something. I had never had that particular kind of high blood pressure reading. So she said to me, I will let you drive home if you go directly to the hospital. So I said, okay. So I drove home and I asked the sister I was working with, who was from another community, I said, could you take me to the hospital right now? And she did. So I was there for about 3 days and my blood pressure came down and I followed all of the directions. And, I belong to, as I said, St. Mary's Student Parish there. And I went, and one of our parishioners was the head of cardiology at the University of Michigan. So I asked him, I said, are you the kind of a doctor I see with blood pressure issues? He said, yes. I said, I'll make an appointment. I will see you in your office. I did, and he straightened it all out for me beautifully. And I still trust him, and I depend on him. If I have any questions, I can still connect with him. That was 2004. And life was tootling along. And I was in Spark Hill for a meeting, and we were having, a jubilee, which was a special celebration of people for 25 plus years. So I woke up that morning, and again, there was something wrong. But I managed to climb the choir loft stairs. I managed to sing in the choir. I managed to get and ignore the thing again. Don't ask me what I was thinking. And I was fine
That
until
it was my next question, but go ahead.
Yeah.
What were you
I
thinking?
I'm not sure what I was thinking. I really don't know. But I thought, it'll go away. I thought it was a TIA. At any rate.
Can I ask you something, Sister Catherine? Did you
Sure.
know the signs of a stroke? Did you know? Okay.
Yes. But I
So-
didn't have any of the facial things, or people would have, because I was with my community, they would have said to me, what's wrong with you?
Yeah.
So I wasn't having that kind of an expression of the stroke. So I think it was the next morning, still having issues. I was walking toward the mother house and I fell, but I fell forward and I scraped the back of my hand. So I got up and I said, okay, this is serious. Now we're going to get serious about this. We got to do something. So I went inside and I asked one of the sisters, I said, I think I'm having a stroke. Could you take me to the hospital? And she said, I'll be with you in a second. And stood up from her desk and said, I got to take her to the hospital. Off we went. And when I'm at the hospital in the emergency room, I keep saying to them, no, my hand isn't the problem. No, it's not my hand. That'll get better. Just put ice on it. It'll be fine. And so they admitted me, and there were no rooms available except in ICU. But I wasn't an ICU patient. But I was called a falling leaf because I had fallen. And so there was a little leaf on my door, but I was allowed to go to the bathroom and things like that. And they did all kinds of tests. And they said I had a small clot deep in my left midbrain. Now that affected my right side. So I knew enough about strokes. As I said, I had studied speech, and one of the things about that is you study aphasia and strokes and all of that. So I knew what they were saying. So after 3 days, I was allowed to go back to the mother house, and fortunately, we have an infirmary. And so I spent some time there getting physical and occupational therapy. It wasn't catastrophic. So it was little things. And I have no residuals at this point, except if I'm going to write a word that has a double M or a double N. When I get to that COM, I have to think of the MM and the NN. So those are my residuals from that stroke. But I've been grateful to God that I was able to continue on with everything that I wanted to do in life. So,
Yeah.
so thank you.
Oh,
So-
you're welcome. Thank you for sharing that. I have a question for you, but I want to have Linda feed into this conversation in 1 second. But my question to you, sister, that you can think about is like, how did that affect you? How did your stroke like affect you? Mine affected me by after me understanding and clearing and I always refer to it like an onion. And I had to peel back the layers of this onion that I was so confined in, that I understood that my purpose was to support, become an advocate for strokes and aphasia. So think about that, Sister Catherine, if you don't mind. But Linda, I'm sure you take care of many, many, many different facets of people that need your help. Have you ever dealt with anybody that suffered some strokes?
Sure. Our caregivers have assisted people that have had strokes. We've had that quite a bit. And, with any condition, the thing that our certified home health aide can help out with is they're there every day. So recovery is an everyday thing. You go to the doctor and you get treatments and you get medications, but often there's exercises, things you need to do every day, occupational therapy, physical therapy, whatever it is to get better, we can assist with that every day. Make sure that, you're eating well. If there's a special diet that needs to be followed, we can help with that. Of course, keep you safe. If there's mobility issues as a result of a stroke, we can make sure that you're safe and work on those, whatever the doctors, the physical therapists prescribe for you to do at home. Our caregivers can help out with that. So we're the everyday. That's what, people think about the medical. Often people ask us, do you do skilled nursing, physical therapy? No, we don't do those things, but we are there every day to support those things.
Mm.
We can help with the follow-up, and all the other things. So that's how we get involved with, recovery for stroke, aphasia clients, or any other conditions they may have.
That reminds me of my father, and Rosanna loves my father. My
Mhm.
father worked for Meals on Wheels, and his dedication and purpose was bigger than just delivering meals. And I worked at the Wanakee Reserve, and he used to make deliveries there to them. And what this one woman he used to bring meals to, said to me, I wait for him every day. Every day. He sits down, he talks, he sees how I am. It was so bigger than they would give him gifts, he would bring them gifts. He was a good guy, right, Rosanna, my daddy?
Oh, yeah, he was wonderful.
Yeah.
And laugh, he would make you laugh. He had a great sense of humor and loud. Very
Yeah,
good.
yeah,
And
yeah.
it's
But
those everyday connections that are so important, somebody that
Yeah.
makes you smile, especially when you're going through, a difficult journey, right? Somebody like that comes, brings you a meal and makes you laugh. That's everything, that
But
could
that's
be.
what I was thinking about your what you do, is because it's bigger than just doing the exercises or bringing
yes.
them giving them the medicine. It's really just the company. It's really just the interaction, like you said, the connection. It's so important. It's so important. I was watching there's nothing on TV, so I was watching Sweet Magnolia again. Right? Did everybody watch Sweet Magnolia? I just love the three ladies on that show, how they have each other's back. Yes, they go through difficult times, but they also find ways to make it through, and they listen to each other, and they're there for each other, and they speak their truths to each other without what's the word I'm looking for, without judgment, right? Like we do this in our prayer circle too. We speak our how we're feeling, and Rosanna doesn't, or the other members don't, and Sister Catherine, we do it with Sister Catherine once a month. They don't they don't say, well, you should do that. They just listen. They listen. They're there for us. So it really, connection and people are so important, and it's really valuable what you're doing, Linda. It's really, really important stuff. Really important stuff.
Thank you. And then with the communication, you just made me think of some of our caregivers recently took a training at Adler Aphasia Center.
Yeah.
And learned how to communicate, with people that have aphasia. But our caregivers said will be helpful for so many of our clients when communication is a problem, learning other ways to communicate. They had a lot of tools, visuals, things that we could point to, and we actually took some time to communicate with some of the members there, and learned, that communication is beyond words. There's other tools that you can use, and our caregivers found that so helpful. And now they will be better able to communicate with people with all kinds of issues, not only, aphasia, but just having other tools at your disposal.
Yeah.
So we're always trying to help our caregivers gain more knowledge, more ways to help, so that they can be equipped and feel more confident and make our clients feel more comfortable because they can communicate. That's so important.
Yeah, it really is.
I think it's important, excuse me, to know that there are two kinds of aphasia. There is expressive aphasia and there is receptive aphasia. Now, when you express, that can be affected by a stroke most dramatically because you see it. It's obvious. The receptive aphasia means you can hear it, but you're not processing. And I'm very thrilled to see, Linda, that your people have learned about that because it's critical to the recovery of a person. And as you said, just communication skills. I like to share the story. I was on a Zoom call with a friend. She was in upstate New York. I was in Pennsylvania. We're talking, and all of a sudden, she's not making any sense. So at first I thought, yeah, well, got a word. But then it continued. And finally, I said to her, you need to go to the hospital immediately. Immediately. It'll pass, she's trying to tell me. I said, no, unlike myself. I was able to confront her and say, find your husband immediately and get to the hospital. And so she did. And we've been friends for a long time. So she did. And apparently it was a TIA. It did pass, but she had blood pressure issues that she wasn't aware of. So, it's really important to not just say, oh, they just can't think of the word. No, there are sometimes it's more. But
I'm glad that you say that, sister, because up until recently, people really thought it was just a communication, it was just a speaking. And I, when early in my stroke days, people would look at me and talk to me, and I didn't get it. I was like blank. I was blank. And it wasn't until a dear confidant of mine, who I call him a confidant, Rosanna knows, Dominic Cortellessa, kind of peeled back the onion and helped me to understand that I had that challenge. And he gave me tools of how to navigate around it, and not to necessarily say that, excuse me, I had a stroke, I don't understand you, but just to say to them, well, let me get back to you on that. And then recircle back to the person and say, hey, could we talk about that again? When I was more clear on what I needed to understand. And that goes kind of dual, because you don't want to always, as a stroke survivor, I don't know how you feel, Sister Catherine, as a stroke survivor, you don't want to always place everything on the blame of the stroke, right?
Correct.
You don't want to, oh, woe is me, I had a stroke.
No.
You have to figure out how to stand strong, stand in yourself, and say, okay, let me process how to get through this. And that's one of the tools that Dominic shared with me. Did you have any aphasia, Sister Catherine?
A little expressive, I think, at the very beginning, but it didn't last long. It didn't affect me that way dramatically at all. My woe is me is that I'm supposed to go on an Alaskan cruise 5 days after after I had the stroke. So we all had to cancel the trip.
Oh my
So
gosh.
if I had any woe is me, it was that, oh shucks.
Yeah, but we all have to believe that you weren't meant to go on that trip.
No, I always live in that. I live in that mode. But I was fortunate to have an infirmary here. You talk about groups around you. Well, my community is definitely, the linchpin of my life. I have, for 20 years until last July, I had lived elsewhere. I had lived in Michigan, Virginia, and then New Jersey, uh, doing different ministries because we're allowed to do and go where this word calls us. But I had trained in spiritual direction in the early 80s, 1980s. So I'm doing this, but I was always fitting it in. And now that I have, quote, retired, I am able to do and offer that full time. So, that you work with all different people who have all different experiences, and it's thrilling. It really is thrilling.
Mm.
But
And I can't wait to retire so that I could begin my full-time life,
exactly.
pushing for what I really want to do in my life.
Yeah, yeah,
It's totally on my foundation and my purpose and my,
yeah. Yeah. Well,
ay, ay, ay.
yeah, no, that's so I was blessed to have the community around me, and I was able to, much like yourself, I didn't decide, oh, poor me, this is it. I decided, well, this is a phase, this is a moment, got to get past it. If I had a cold, I'd get over it. Well, I tend to be that kind of a person,
Mm.
and so that's exactly how I kind of treated the experience, and I try to use anything that happens in my life to be more empathetic with others when they're going through different situations. And, Linda, that's critical to, your people who are working with others. And Rosanna, you are there for people too. And you
You know,
listen. Here we are. I
I
mean,
have to let you in on something. I take a blood thinner because I have AFib. And
oh,
the
me too.
main,
I got AFib too.
if you don't take it, you know what happens. So because of Renee and everything, of all the people that have brought so much awareness to stroke, because years ago it wasn't like that.
Hmm.
When I was little, someone had a stroke, that was it. They were put in a nursing home.
Right,
They just laid there.
right.
We went to see friends of my parents that were
I
like,
know.
it was
Me too. Me too.
excuse me, it was devastating and horrible. But the medical profession didn't know. So it wasn't really, they just didn't know. And they didn't have visiting angels to go into the homes. I've seen many people. So my most important pill that I take is my blood thinner because it lasts 24 hours. It's one of the newer ones. And I keep that pill. I always keep extra in my purse just in case I'm away from home and I don't get home in time. And, I thank God that they have that because I could be a stroke victim. So I'm very, very thankful.
That's
I,
one of the
yeah,
80% that strokes can be prevented. If you
Yeah.
if you find out, if you work, like I said, it's a unified help, right? You have to
Yes.
have your doctors, you have to have faith, you have to have, I don't care, and I always say this, listen, I'm a Christian, I'm a Catholic, but whatever faith you are, you have to have some sort of faith and belief that that will guide you through it, because life is not going to be so easy all the time. There's going to be dark days and challenges that you have to come up with. And how are you going to get through that if you don't have something to lean on, somebody to help you? I mean, what's coming to me right now is one time I was in the park in Glen Rock. I think I said this last show, and I was really in a dark place. I don't even remember. And someone just came up to me and sat next to me, and him and I have been friends ever since, and it was many years ago. And he follows me on my Instagram, he follows me on my email chain, like wow, there's got to be, like, I just know that he was a divine angel, there from God to say, you're not alone, you're okay, I'm here. So it was powerful stuff. It was powerful stuff. So I want Linda to share, and I want you all to share. How does your faith work in your life? How do you tap into your faith, whatever that faith may be? How do you tap into it? Linda, you can go first, and then I'll have Rosanna share. How does your faith and your, get you through those challenging times, even with your parents, as you said?
Hmm. Yeah, my faith has gotten me through. I wouldn't be here probably without, Jesus in my life and my faith in him. And just, the Bible is my guide. So I study it. I learn from the experiences of the, characters in the Bible and how God worked with them. And I learned through difficult times, especially caring for my parents. That was a very difficult journey for me. It was about, let's see, 7 years, between the both of them. First, my dad, he had Parkinson's with all of the symptoms, hallucinations, dementia, Parkinson's dementia, all of that. And it got very crazy. And, things I never expected I would have to encounter in my life with my father. I, had to deal with, and, some things that he said that weren't coming from, he would have never said them if he didn't have, the Parkinson's dementia and the hallucinations. And there were times where I cried out to God and I said, God, how can this be? How can you allow this to happen? Just doesn't seem right. And I was kind of angry at God. And I went through a time where, I kind of wondered, are you really there?
Mhm.
But he met me there, and, I got through it, and he showed me that, it's going to be all right. This is life. This is the way it is down here. And, we have an eternal future that won't have all of this. But for right now, I need you to take care of your parents, to my dad at the time. And I need you to be strong. And he kind of, I went to friends that I have, and they encouraged me and helped me with, reminding me of scripture, bringing me flowers, taking me out for lunch, all of those things were huge. And I know that, God brought all those people in my life to get me through, and I did make it through, but there, it was a dark time for me. But my faith, in Jesus, just knowing that it goes beyond this life, even if this, as ugly as this life can be, and for some people it doesn't get better, they may have to go to the end with whatever it is they're suffering with, whether it be an ailment or just, there's war in the world, there's all kinds of things that people have to deal with. But knowing that, we have a future in eternity, and Jesus is preparing a place for us, got me through, because it's not all about this life. Although this life can be beautiful and it can be terrifying, it can be all of those things. And I want to live it fully, for him and for the people around me. But I have that hope of heaven. So that kind of gets me through anything that I may have to face.
That's beautiful, Linda. And, once again, God divinely put this show together, I will tell you, because it wasn't, and we don't pick and choose. I mean, we do work together to make sure that, like the next show is about, my movie I'm working on, and movies that wouldn't have been like a good topic for this. So we do tie, but we don't pick and choose who we're, so just the way this all came together is just divine intervention, which actually, Linda, I saw you posted on Facebook. It was a divine intervention for this show. So thank you so much. And I have to share what's coming through me on my mind is, one of the tragic things that is happening in the world right now is Savannah Guthrie. But she and her strength in her faith is just impeccable. She is being an example for everybody to have faith and to have hope. It's pretty impressive, pretty impressive what's going on with her and how she's handling it. I'm in awe of her for her faith. So Rosanna, why don't you share, I know, but share with our audience, how faith helped you.
Um,
Sister Catherine, we're going to go to you.
I came from a family that always had religion. I mean, we didn't read the Bible, but my mother occasionally would say the rosary, but every Sunday we went to church. My mother had a great devotion to Saint Anthony, and she named my brother Anthony. My father had a great devotion to Saint Michael. His father and his grandfather all did in Europe. These devotions came from Europe, and we brought them here to the United States. So when I was young, I lived in a home of faith, and we celebrated, the saints' days. Like mine is Saint Sabina's because I'm September 16th, Saint Anthony's Day. So they always the holy days of obligation were all respected in my home. It was a loving home. As of course there was always some discord, but it was a loving home when it came to religion. There was no conflict. Everybody understood. We all were very appreciative, and most of their friends were about the same too. I don't remember ever going anywhere that, things get a little not convoluted, but they get a little bit more difficult when you're going through your teenage years, because now you're with your friends. But I went through 8 years of Catholic school and 4 years of high school. They were also Catholic, and they were all Dominicans and priests. My uncle was a Franciscan priest. So there was always religion in our house. It was always around us, and I never felt uncomfortable. It was beautiful. Then I got married, and my ex-husband's family was basically the same, but we were really not a good match, which I did not now at 21 or 20. But then it became more difficult. I would go to church and follow certain things. He really was not, and I tried taking the children, but children follow the parent that's doing the easiest thing. It was hard to get up on a Sunday morning and to go to church and get dressed up. So if they saw their father was home, they didn't want to come. They gave me a hard time. So I would force them. I mean, he did come in the beginning, then it stopped. Then as time went on and we got divorced, then I really relied on God. I did. I would have really stressful months, and months went into years, 12, 15 years of actual stress financially, because that was the main burden for me, was the financial burden. And I had up to 3 jobs at one time, and I did them all and took care of my children as much and sent them to a Catholic school. And I did whatever I could. I wanted to make sure I didn't walk away from them as they became adults with any regrets. And people would say to me, "Oh my God, you work all week. On weekends, you're working Saturday and Sunday. And what are you going to church for? It's not helping." That's what people would say to me. But I also wore everything on my sleeve. Next, I've learned over the years, you can't tell people all your woes, because then you give them the opportunity to interject and give you their feelings, which I didn't want. I wanted uplifting feelings. If not, then they should have kept it to themselves, but they didn't know the difference. And I
Right.
don't fault them for that. But I used to say to them, I walk into church on a Saturday, totally exhausted, sometimes nothing in my checking account, waiting for my check on Monday. And nothing has changed from when I walk into church to when I leave the church, but I felt better. I felt like, okay, now I can go on for another week. It gave me a week. I can almost cry about this because I actually remember how I used to feel. And it just gave me just a sense of hope for that one week, because it was so difficult for me. I don't mean to do this, I'm sorry, and it was really
No, it's
very
good.
difficult. But then since then, God has always helped me. He's always sent me angels, and every day there's a miracle in my life. It doesn't have to be big, but it's small. And I always thank God, and I always recognize it, but you have to watch. See, I feel we are spiritual beings. And God says at one point, okay, you come down and have a physical experience. And what happens is that people get involved in the physical and they forget the spiritual. I don't. I try not to anyway. And then because eventually our body goes to rest and we go back up and we're spirits again. I think that's wonderful. I think the afterlife is there. And someone said to me once, "You put so much importance into the afterlife. What if there's nothing?" I said, "All right, let me put it this way. I hope all my life that there's something wonderful. And I don't give anything up. It doesn't cost anything. And if I die and there's nothing, what did I lose? I didn't lose anything. If there is something, that's even better. That's even better." So I love God. I love Jesus. I love Mary. I pray to as many people as I can. When I was younger, I started with the little prayer book. And now I have to say, I have so many pages of all the different prayers that I like, that when I go away, I have to put them on my phone because I almost lost everything once and I can't do that. I feel those pages are precious. So I leave them home and I put everything on my phone. So I was in Italy last week and my girlfriend goes, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm praying. Don't bother me." She goes, "On your phone?" I said, "Yes, I have everything on my phone. I copy everything." But I think God is wonderful. You cannot blame him for everything because we have free will. He cannot stop us. We have our own free will. So whatever happens sometimes is it's fruition of our own decisions. That's what comes to pass. And God gives us the opportunity to vibrate at a beautiful level. And we don't. Because if we vibrate at a beautiful level, our life will reflect that vibration and be better. If we vibrate at a low level, that's what we're going to see. And of course, something like Linda, she was wonderful. And God gave her that because God loved her for some reason. And people don't understand that. He gave her all those challenges and she came through it and she became a businesswoman that's providing a service that helps many, many more people. So that's how that's what God did for her. Even though some
Talking
people
about
don't see
Savannah?
it.
You said Linda. Oh, you're talking
I'm
about
talking
Linda.
about Linda. I'm talking about Linda directly.
yeah,
No,
yeah.
Savannah, I feel bad for, but
Yeah.
there's nothing we can do for that. But I'm talking about Linda.
Yes.
All those
Yeah.
challenges that God
Yeah.
sent her on purpose, because
Yeah.
he inflicts. That's what he wanted. That was the message.
Yeah. And
I thank God every day for us to stand out of the bed, to stand up. Yeah, so many things have to go wrong or so many things have to go right for us to just stand there. Because if one thing is off, it's not worth it. It's not, it doesn't work. So my religion is very important to me. I don't usually discuss it with people because people that don't believe in religion need validation. So what they do is they try to shove their non-beliefs down your throat and they want you to agree with them. So I told somebody once, I said, "I don't care what you think. I don't care what you believe. Whatever you believe, God bless, that's up to you. But you cannot convince me or you can't tell me what to believe. And the fact that you're trying to convince me and I'm not trying to convince you, I think you should look within and see why you're doing that." That stopped him right away.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
I just recommend a book real quick that helped me a lot. My mom just passed in December, and it's
sorry
called,
for your loss.
thank you. It's called Heaven, A Comprehensive Guide by Randy Alcorn. And it's
think I've heard of
really,
that.
it's brought heaven to life for me, like it used to be like, yes, I'm going to heaven, but it's really made me think it through in more tangible terms. Anyway, I really highly recommend it.
Tangible
good.
terms.
I got to see if they have it on audio because I like to listen to
Yes. What is the
audio.
name of it
They
again?
do.
Heaven?
Heaven, A Comprehensive Guide by
Oh.
Randy Alcorn.
It was
really helped me to, because my mom is there now, my dad, more and more people are there. And I needed it to become more real for me. And this book has really done that for me. Just wanted to
I
mention.
think they're all together. They're having a wonderful feast and they're looking at us. And eventually we will see them. Yeah. Your parents are
well,
up
I
there.
will.
And
I
I'm
will
sure they're
share.
very thankful for everything you did for them.
I will share that heaven is beautiful because I visited it. Where I had
By
my
her doing that with her parents, she developed something within her.
Yep.
She developed that desire. That's what God was putting in her. But those were the means he had to give. Otherwise, it wouldn't have developed. And she put out a wonderful company that helps other people, the services.
Yeah. So we only have about 4 or 5 minutes left, and I'm so happy that it's Sister Catherine that gets to kind of wrap things up with we know what you do, sister. We know you're a sister, but it's still hard, to keep the faith and to keep moving forward, even with the challenges that you face and that priests face and that rabbis face. Your people, you have to deal with life challenges. So how did your stroke make a difference in your life, and how are you using that to impact people?
Well, I can't really say that it made a major difference in my life, but it was an experience that I am carrying forward to say with more empathy toward others who have difficulties, as result of health issues generally. But if a person has had a stroke, I can be more empathetic toward them because of it. but it's all the work of God, of Jesus. And I just say, Jesus, you got to do it. You send me where you send me, and I'll go where you send me. And hopefully I will meet, as I did with Rosanna, I will always meet the people, and I've met Linda, always meet the people that somehow, some way will have an impact on my life. And who knows, they will also have an impact on mine when you put it under the umbrella of Jesus or God. But I agree that faith is a critical part of survival. And it's, knowing, Renee, that you had a more critical or a more devastating stroke than I did. But I see what God has done in your life, and that gives me, impetus. Keep going. Keep
Well,
meeting.
that's because I'm more thick-headed. Mine was harder because I'm more thick-headed.
But that's a gift from God too.
Yeah,
If
I
you
know.
weren't thick-headed,
Yeah, yes,
or-
I know.
I guess I am too, because it's just like, okay, we got to keep going.
Yeah,
Linda, you did it. Rosanna, you've done it.
yeah,
We've got
yeah.
to keep going, but we lean into Jesus. We lean into God to be the one that supports us on the journey.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that's critical.
Yes.
It is. So I wanna close out, but I do want to give everybody, Linda, I want to give you the opportunity to share where our viewers could reach out to you if they should need any help.
Yes, we have Visiting Angels has a website, visitingangels.com/Passaic. You can give us a call at 973-839-3761. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and just, we are located in Wayne, 1211 Hamburg Turnpike, in the building with the ENT, same floor, second floor. You can come visit us. We're there for you. Anybody that needs us, we're there for you to help you any way we can.
And you're involved with Diane's health fairs.
Senior Resource Group,
Yeah.
yeah, and the Wayne Chamber of Commerce. You can find us there.
Good.
Yeah.
I just want to say it's
Good to
such
know.
a pleasure to meet you, Sister Catherine, Rosanna. I
It's a
really
pleasure.
enjoyed.
Likewise.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's been a
Likewise.
pleasure.
So I do want to give Sister Catherine, do you want to share where they can reach out for you if there's somebody that's watching that should need to reach out to you?
My email is very simple. opdominican, all lowercase, @gmail.com.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Rosanna, for being in my life. You're a
Thank you.
blessing, and
Likewise.
Linda, you as well, and Sister
Thank you,
Catherine as well.
Rosanna.
It's a blessing to meet everybody.
Yes.
So we, believe it or not, it's been an hour and we've been live around the world, and people are going to view this, and I have to close out with everybody. So I really want to thank everybody for joining us today. This show really is important. It's during Lent, which I just absolutely love. Lent. I love the spring. I love new growth. This is a Sunday of the time went ahead. It's all changes and all beautiful things that I hope that everybody has a wonderful, beautiful day, and a lot of blessings in your life. And I hope that you have a stroke of luck in your life. And on 3, I always like to blow kisses if you feel comfortable. So 1, 2, 3.
Mm.
Bye, everybody.
Have a nice
Have a
day,
wonderful
ladies.
day.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Thanks, Renee. Love you.
Bye. Love you too.
Yo no sé qué tú piensas, yo no sé lo que haré, yo no sé lo que estoy perdiendo, yo no sé lo que va a pasar.